This conference will now be recorded.
Well, thank you all for joining me, and thank you all for being so punctual. I think this is one of the meetings that we've started the earliest. So, on the flip side, I'm going to try to get everybody out of here at least 5 or 10, maybe even 15 minutes before the hour, so everybody has a chance to take a break, get some water, do some emails or text messages before your next meeting, because I know some of us have these things back to back to back. Um, Today is the first day of November in 2021. I hope everybody had a fun Halloween, whether you guys celebrated it on Sunday. I know some people like us over here, we did it on Saturday. Um, don't forget to put your contact information in the chat, because at the end of the meeting, I will save the chat. I've also will send out a recording. So just to make it easier for people to connect afterwards, to maybe have a longer conversation, put in the chat whatever you want to share, your LinkedIn profile, email, phone number, websites, whatever. Conversely, don't put anything in the chat or say anything in the meeting you don't want me to share, because both are being recorded and I will share both. Um, this meeting basically has three parts. One is we'll go through a round of introductions. I'll mute everybody just to keep the background noise to a minimum, and I'll unmute you one at a time, give you a minute or two to introduce yourself to the rest of the group. Number two, usually the introductions trigger some questions or some comments or some follow-up topics, so we'll do that. And number three, if we still have time after that, then we'll just open it up for general business conversation. Anything that's in anybody's mind, they want to ask for help, resources, just make a comment. As long as it's business related, it's fair game. Does that sound like a pretty good plan?
Yep.
All right, very good. And again, today, as I mentioned before we started the recording, we have a very nice mix of people that have been to a lot of these meetings and people that are new. So that always makes it fun to have a mix of people that know what's going on and people that are fresh faces. So here we go. All right, and I'm just going down my list as I see it here on my computer. Very first on my list is Jennifer. So Jennifer, if you want to take a minute, introduce yourself, tell everybody what you're working on.
Okay, my name's Jennifer Lau. I run Jen Lau Agency. I have a chronic pain disorder, fibromyalgia, that sometimes lays me low and I leave early, not to be rude or offend anyone. Currently, I'm fighting with the local sheriff because I was a federal behavior analyst and I work on cold cases, and he doesn't have the insurance to cover me to do that. So I decided to do what I used to do when I was married to a government official, and that was volunteer for government relations, both federal and international. So if anyone needs help with federal or international or even state government relations, I'm probably better on state government relations with like Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Georgia, Texas, or California, New York, or Florida. I don't really have any experience with states other than that, but I am willing to try. And Charles asked me to tell you that I invited him here today. He's in the gas and oil industry, and he would love to introduce himself.
Okay, perfect. And thank you very much for that, Jennifer. So let me see, just going up my list here. Charles, in this system, you have to hit share your webcam, by the way, if you've got a webcam on your system so we can see you. But if you want to take a minute or two and introduce yourself, please.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, thank you so much. Good afternoon, all. My name is Charles Elisha. I'm originally from Nigeria. I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia 9 years ago before I relocated to New Jersey. I'm the co-founder of and CEO of Law Resources LLC. Basically, what we do, we facilitate a kind of consulting firm. It's a startup consulting firm for international businesses. Basically, what we do, we connect business with businesses, and then we also help facilitate funding for projects within the US, Africa, and North America. And we are not limited to any sector, but we work with reputable organizations and professionals to meet up demands either within the US or North America, Africa, or South America. It's a pleasure to connect everyone. Thank you, Charles.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Charles. Don't I think you heard it, but I'm sorry. Please put your contact information in the chat so we can share it with everybody. Delilah, if you would like to take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the group, please.
Hi. Well, I'm Delilah, and my company is called You on Stage. So I put business people on stage to help them get more confident and effective when they're talking, whether it's to one person or 500. And they also get to have more fun when they're doing it. So that's me.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And let's see, down in Fort Lauderdale, where I know there's a really cool restaurant called Bo Campers, we got Jack Maitland.
Right. Thank you, Sal. Thanks for heading this up too, by the way. I think you're doing an awesome job, and we appreciate you. Yeah, Jack Maitland. I hail from Pittsburgh originally. I've been here in South Florida for quite a while. I played pro football for a few years in the early 70s, and since my family had moved to South Florida and I was single, I just came down here, and I've been here ever since. That's since the mid 70s. After football, I got into the ad agency business, opened up my own shop, ran it for close to 25, 30 years, retired from advertising at the turn of the century, got involved as an independent marketing exec for a science-based Inc. 500, which is a private held company, manufacturing company out of Idaho. And basically, after 35 years now, we're in our 36 years, the company has evolved into the largest private online wellness shopping club in North America. We're actually experiencing explosive growth this year and last year, 2020, because of COVID. I think you all know how important the body's immune system is to protect and defend us from outside threats, or what they call pathogens, which obviously includes COVID. But we've got a pretty strong product line that has benefited an awful lot of people, and it's a grouping of over 400 products. So basically what we do is educate people about our shopping system and how it works. It's a $19 a year membership like Sam's Club, Costco. It's only $1, by the way, because of a holiday promotion going on now. And we're basically just switching stores and replacement shopping, if you will. And I, again, have been involved for 18 years. We are allowed to revenue share with the company by helping them promote their brand. We're not distributors. This isn't Amway or the Avon ladies. We're basically educating people about our shopping club, and we give them a test drive. We give them a bunch of free products, and most people stay with us after they've put their toe in and tested the water. So if you're open to a better, safer product line without affecting the family budget, I'll put my contact info, and would certainly love to hear from you.
All right, perfect very much. Thank you very much. Let's see. Next on my list is Jerry in Columbus, Ohio. Jerry, if you could take a minute or two to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Sal. And thanks for inviting me to this. I appreciate it. So my name is Jerry Luco, and I do a few things, but where I spend most of my time is actually with Franchise Business Source. So I help aspiring franchisees find that absolutely perfect fit franchise that gets them time, money, freedom that they have been looking for. Not everybody wants to, go out and create the next Facebook or anything like that, and they like having that operational playbook that gives them, kind of mitigates the risk a little bit and gives them kind of an understanding of what they're going to be spending to get up and running. So I work with about 300 plus or minus different brands at any point in time. There are way more franchises than just food. I am based in Columbus, Ohio, but I actually work nationwide, including Hawaii, as a matter of fact. So I can talk to them about whatever it is they want. I particularly like relationships with commercial realtors. And also, if you know people that are already investors or business owners of some sort that might be looking to broaden their portfolio, I really enjoy working with people that have already made that leap into business ownership and understand the benefits versus the risks measurement of starting a new business. So that's me. Thanks, Sal.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Jerry. Let's see, and I hope I don't clobber this, but Maji, if you could, I see you're unmuted yourself. Give us a 1 or 2 minute introduction, please.
Yes, certainly. My name is Mtg. I also go by MJ. So what I do is I do systems architecture and engineering with ICT Tech. So I work a lot with different clients within the SMB market share, small and medium businesses, anyone from your entrepreneur mom and pops to medium-sized organizations around 500 people. I've done work for governments, local municipalities. We are also NIST compliant with a lot of federal government regulation. I've worked with in the medical sector. I've worked with tier 1 automotive suppliers and manufacturing. I've worked with banks. Basically, what we do is in the business world, you have AWS, which is Amazon, and you have Microsoft, which dominate the space. We decided to make our own cloud that we host here in Detroit, based here in Detroit, Michigan, but most of our work is done regionally. We do business along the East Coast and along the West, and we have the infrastructure to expand to Europe with respect to GDPR. So that's kind of what I do. And we also do security audits. So that's our thing.
All right, perfect. And I'm going to actually, Maji, real quick, MJ, for people that are not familiar with GDPR, could you take a second and explain what that is before I move on?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. So it's the General Data Protection Regulation Act. I believe it passed around in 2018, around December, like May 2018. I'm like not remembering what month, but essentially it is one of the strictest provisioning in the world as far as what companies can do with user data. I actually personally made a documentary on that topic for school a while back. If anyone's interested, I can email it to you later. But it's essentially there's like a lot of lawsuits with like bigger tech companies over it because they were violating privacy with user information.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, because I know that's a big issue, and the Europeans were all over that, and a lot of people are not familiar with that. All right. Sorry for the little sidetrack here, but we will keep going. And Mike, if you could take a minute or two to introduce yourself, please.
Sure, yeah. Some folks here already know me as the guy who developed Victoria's Secret Pink from a test concept into a $1 billion business in 3 years. But that's old news. The exciting stuff today, Sal, is over the next 2 months, I'm going to fill and launch a mastermind. It's sort of a peer advisory group, really. We're going to get ourselves 8 people together on a weekly basis with me facilitating for $250 a month. So if you know that business owner who's pretty much used up their toolkit growing their business, wants some more ideas, wants some peer feedback, and wants to be led by someone who's built a dozen businesses into the hundreds of millions of dollars, I'd love to meet them. Thanks so much.
All right, perfect.
Mike Mausteller, Buckeye Business Performance.
Yeah, and make sure if you have a website for it already or whatever, please share it in the chat so I can share it with everybody. All right, fantastic. And not last and not least, because I will be last, hopefully not least either, but we'll see, is Rhoda. So Rhoda, if you could take a minute or two to introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone from Indianapolis, Indiana. My name is Rhoda Israelov, and I head a team of ghost writers. And we write what you read when you go on our clients' websites, telling their story to their visitors and making sure that their visitors know that they are in the know and in the now. And right now I am looking for two things: a trucking company or transportation company of some kind, and also looking for a cleaning company, like an office cleaning firm. So if you know any company like that that doesn't have an updated blog, and what we find is that when we go on websites, they say they have a blog, but the latest entry was 2 years ago, or maybe even as short a time as 6 months ago. So they need to know that we say it for you. And MJ, I am interested in getting your contact information as a speaker for a group that I belong to. So if
Okay, excellent. Is that it, Rhoda? Okay, very good. Then I will wrap it up with a quick introduction of myself, and then, like I said, hopefully some of the intros have triggered thoughts or comments in your mind. But as you can see there, my name is Sal Acosta, and I am a business broker. And it's exactly like it sounds. I help people buy and sell businesses. Now, since businesses come in all shapes and sizes, and transactions come in all shapes and sizes, I usually deal with what's called Main Street businesses or lower middle market. So that's a business that on the low side may have as few as 10 employees. On the high side may have a maximum of 250. From a revenue perspective, anywhere from zero all the way up to maybe 10 or $20 million for the year. And from an EBITDA or net cash flow perspective, hopefully break even in spite of everything that still continues, unfortunately, to go on with the coronavirus and now the supply chains and now everything else, inflation. But hopefully at least break even to about $1 million or $2 million in net positive cash flow for the year. The only thing I'll add to that is now through the magic of the internet and video chats and meetings like this, I'm actually working with people all over the country, not limited geographically anymore, because realistically 99% of the process can be done remotely. So that's pretty much it. And I will unmute everybody from my side. And does anybody have any questions or comments from anybody to anybody?
Yes, Sal, I was wondering if Charles could just, because he broke up a little bit. I didn't get the name of his company, and he could give us maybe a 30-second summary of what he does. He broke up a little bit there, and I didn't quite get the full gist of what he does.
Hey, Charles, if you're there, because I see you're muted from your side, if you could unmute and then kind of again give us another sort of 30-second introduction, because Jack is right. You were, I think I got most of it, but you were breaking up a little bit.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, my name is Charles Elisha. I'm currently residing in New Jersey. My company is called Laurel Resources LC. Is registered in Wyoming and operate remotely. What we do is to broker deals and also to facilitate. It could be goods, it could be technology, it could be equipment, or technical partnership, either within the US or internationally. Currently, we have partnered with Chemex Global Inc. in Texas for a client who needs funding plus EPC for a gas plant in Nigeria. And then right now, I'm working with Jennifer to source for an investor for a telecom concession in Angola, and also a property in North Carolina that for equity investor. So we are not limited to any sector. We partner with professionals, reputable professionals, and companies.
Charles, what's that company in Florida you're partnered with? Barclay? Is it Gremlin or Gremlin? I always get the name wrong.
Okay. one of our biggest partners is called Barclays JD Group. Barclays, Barclays JD Group, GEDI Group,
It's down
LLC.
by
They're in
Jack.
Florida.
That's why I asked. Oh, sorry. No, that company's down by Jack Maitland. He may have
Yes,
heard of them.
Barclays JD Group. They're in Florida.
I haven't heard of them. No.
Okay. They are big, but very quiet. Yes. So maybe when we finish, you can Google them. So basically, what they do, is an infrastructure development company. We don't only work with them; we work with like a company called Sangwell Engineering. We have also partnered with Millhouse Inc. They are in Chicago, one of the biggest construction firm in the U.S. Not bigger like Bechtel. So we also have professionals like we partner with professionals like Jennifer. We have other professionals within the US, in Canada, another place of the world. So basically, with the technology, we are able to synergize with professionals who are willing to work with us to explore opportunities or provide services to our clients within the US or Africa. Or not, or any part in the world, because we have a client right now in Indonesia who needs funding for a greenhouse project. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
well, Charles, you were still breaking up a little bit, but I think we got almost all of it.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, please make sure to put your contact information in the chat. And same thing for everybody else, because again, I distribute the chat information later tonight. Okay. Any other questions from anybody to anybody or comments?
Yes.
Jennifer.
Okay. Rhoda, I will be giving you a call. I have cleaning firms and trucking companies.
Good.
MJ, I'll be
Yes.
giving you a call just to talk more about tech and programmers. Jack,
Okay.
I'll be giving you a call about the vitamins. Mike, I'll schedule a call. I'd like to talk more. And Delilah, I think that's such a wonderful and needed service that you are offering, because so many business people cannot present. I wonder if you were an educator in a former life, or an actress, or
Yes.
Dale Carnegie
both.
student, maybe.
Yeah. I do want to add something, if I may. Jennifer, I'm interested actually with your relations to trucking company. I work with transportation businesses as well.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah, it's very it'll take time for me to like decompound what it is, because it's in layers. As far as Charles, you said that you do a lot of work overseas with infrastructure. That's our specialty. So I would be interested in speaking to you further. And Rhoda, I'm interested what it is that you have for me regarding this group that you say. So.
And Delilah, I'm sorry, we didn't get a chance to hear your answer, but could you talk a little bit about your background? Is it in acting? Did you go to acting school or something, or not?
Yeah, my background is I've had theaters in Houston and New York City, and we do comedy. Musical comedy is my specialty. And I was always very shy, but was always a performer. And so I love to work with business people and help them get more playful and so we do a lot of theater games and improv games, and somehow it's kind of like wax on, wax off. They suddenly just feel more relaxed when they're presenting or making a sales call, leading a team meeting. It's a lot of fun.
Do you work with people individually, Delilah, or do you work with people in groupings?
Yeah, I have a class for the public called You on Stage. We meet for 6 weeks, one night a week on Zoom. And then I go into companies and take it in there for team building and leadership. And then I do one-on-one coaching for people that need that, want that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for asking.
What do you charge for the weekly group deal?
The weekly group is it's $195.
Okay, and that's for what the period of
We,
the
we meet for 6 Thursdays for 1 hour and 15 minutes or so.
gotcha.
And
Okay.
then we have a little Zoom party
Okay.
afterward. It's a lot of
Good.
fun.
Good.
How much is
Jerry,
it just to attend the Zoom party? No, I'm
yeah.
What? Yeah, we
I'm
just
kidding.
had
I was
one.
asking you how much it was just to go to the party. I was going to cut to the chase.
Well, yeah, I'll invite you the next time we have a party.
Okay, all right, you got yourself a deal.
Hey, Jerry, I wanted to ask you, as far as some of the people you represent, are these people that are looking for a franchise? Are they people that are looking to invest in a franchise or a franchise model, perhaps, or both? I mean, what I have in addition to what I do, I'm involved now with a pretty unusual franchise that we're going to probably launch next year called Dough Hoppers, and I'm working with the founder of the original Brooklyn Water Bagel Company. I don't know if you've ever heard of that,
No.
but anyway, uh, this is not a startup, by the way. We don't. It's actually we're introducing a patent pending cold beverage technology. It's going to be introduced through our franchise, and we're talking to Starbucks and people like that. With I can't really divulge too much information yet, but do you represent people that are looking to invest as well as people that may want their own franchise?
Um, Generally, I'm working with people that want to buy a franchise, like become a business owner. Oftentimes, I also work with people that want to turn their business into a franchise. I have a partner that I collaborate with in that instance. But lately, I've actually been working with a different lead source that is providing some people that tend to be more on the investment front. So if you're looking for people that might want to invest in a new technology or something that works with franchises, we should have a conversation. And
Okay, good. I'm going to need you to.
Who did you play with when you played football?
I was a rookie in 1970 with the Baltimore Colts when we won Super Bowl V, and then I got traded to the Patriots, played for New England for a couple years after that. I only played 3 years, but ended up with a Super Bowl ring my rookie year, which was pretty cool. But listen, I'd like to get you some more information. I'm going to need you to sign an NDA though, but I may have our president get in touch with you. The guy that is not the founder, but the president of the company was Entrepreneur of the Year in 1994 on the cover of Inc. magazine. So we got a pretty strong management team coming together, and there may be some opportunity here for both of us. So.
Yeah, I'd love to have a conversation, and signing an NDA is no problem at all.
Okay, you've got my information's up there, I think, Jack Maitland, and I've got yours. So.
Okay. Yep.
And Mike, you and I can talk here at some point too.
Well, I'm going to ask a question first to Mike and
Mr. Jack, I'd love to.
Anybody else that wants to chime in. But Mike, my question to you is, and this is because of what you do, for businesses that are relatively small, and I'll say small, 10 million or less in revenue for the year. Let's just draw the line there. Looking forward for the next 6 months, which of the following would you think is the biggest challenge? Is it going to be a resurgence of COVID? Is it going to be inflation? Or is it going to be supply chain risks? Or anything else that you see on the horizon that are not those three?
Yeah, believe it or not, inflation is really tough on a small business. For instance, I have one business that works with me that does pet supplies. Well, they're like $1 million business, annual revenue, and they're selling to Chewy, want to get into PetSmart, right? These big players. And so, folks like that are you get that big company which is going to represent your products, and you want to stay with them, so you're afraid to raise your prices. You've got some people that have been buying from you for years from all over the world who, again, you've got a relationship. They've paid about the same thing for several years, and there's a lot of hesitancy to raise prices. But it's getting to the point for some where it's not even an option. On the construction side, I've got folks that will bid and literally tell you, now it's gotten a little bit better, but if you want a wood fence or a metal fence, you've got 48 hours to say yes or no, because I don't even know if I can get the supplies after that. My supplier is going to stay at this price for 48 hours. They could be sold out after that. And again, hesitancy to pass the cost along, but even, you mentioned the supply chain, even having the materials is getting to be a problem. So yeah, I think the supply chain and the coming price increases are probably the biggest hit on especially smaller businesses.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment on that? Is anybody else seeing something different, the same?
In construction, I've noticed the exact same.
Really? Okay. Yeah,
And
you know what?
I'm in the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah. What I have started to see, and not wholesale, but it's surprising to me that it's even starting. I've seen people that are starting to quote stuff where they say, "Hey, listen, here's your quote, here's the labor, here's the materials as of right now, but be aware that if the material changes, this quote changes automatically. So the risk, so it's not like a firm quote. The risk is on you to accept it and then see what the materials turn out to be." And like I said, I haven't seen that. I've seen that very sporadically, but just the fact that there's some people out there doing that is already interesting to me.
Sal, how
Yeah.
have you found? And I know that you and I have worked together on something that was less than break even, but but how have you found the business environment impacting what's going on with your activity?
Well, so here's what I tell people. Right now, it's more or less even keel, right? But if we look at the coronavirus and let's say that it was started, I don't even know, I've lost track now, but let's say 18 months ago. Okay, when it first was rolling out, the activity was crazy on both sides of the table. There was people calling to try to sell their businesses. To your point, sometimes if it could have been a bar, restaurant, it was closed. They were trying to sell it, trying to make the case of this is what it was in the future, this is what it's going to be, or this is what it was in the past, this is what it may be in the future. There was a lot of activity. There was a lot of activity from the buy side, quite frankly, people trying to get good deals, right? I've got nothing wrong with the capitalists. They were just trying to take advantage of the opportunity that these, again, bars, restaurants, travel agencies, anything related to travel, hospitality, where it was closed or operating at a very low level. But to answer your question, right now, I'm not seeing that level of activity, meaning I see it more of an even keel. Surprisingly to me, I was expecting a little bit more activity related to people getting scared of capital gains and maybe taxes going up and things like that. I haven't seen that either. So long story short, right now it's a normal baseline of business. I don't see anything abnormally high or anything abnormally low. So I hope that answers your question and makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
As a matter of fact, let me ask you this, because by the way, and just for people here in general, Jerry and I don't compete in the sense that I work more with established businesses that are already operating, even though, again, maybe they've been temporarily shut down for the coronavirus, but they were working before or hoping to work afterwards, and typically are not franchised, although it could be. But Jerry works more with people that want to start a business and start a franchise in particular. So we all have our little lane there. But are you seeing something different on your side, Jerry?
We're seeing a lot of activity. I work through an affiliate network. There's about 300 of people that do what I do, and the network itself is saying that they're seeing more deals close than even like in 2019. And actually 2020 ended up being a bang up year for them. 2020 was a weird year though. I've had a couple of colleagues that kind of stopped doing what I do because they had 4 or 5 people like go through the process, go to discovery day, be ready to sign the agreement and get cold feet and leave. I had a number of them do the same thing, maybe not quite that far in the process, but they would just say, I feel like I need to wait until maybe next year or something like that, and they haven't come back yet. But the affiliate network did very well last year, and I'm seeing 2 or 3 emails a day with new deals and big deals, multi-unit deals. So yeah, we're pretty busy.
Good. Well, the other thing too, by the way, is and when I think of people buying businesses, whether it's starting a new franchise or buying an existing business from that's not a franchise, whatever, I always think of about minimum 10 year sort of holding period, right? You're going to start your business, you're going to have it for 10 years and maybe more, and then maybe sell it when you want to retire or something. But anyway, if you look at that level of holding period, interest rates are still at a relatively low level. So
Mhm.
you would think that people would want to take advantage of that because that may not continue to be the case over the next 5 years. I mean, you never know, but certainly it's not going to stay low forever.
Yeah, I'll say something that earlier when you were talking about costs. You brought up an interesting point. Um, in the industry that I work in, I've seen it split in 2 ways. I've seen kind of like a reverse cost where prices in some ways are going down for some services, and then also with with Taiwan, with TSMC, that's kind of which essentially they produce everything, like the base core of everything, and all of our machines in the world. There's no other company like them. Uh, that's caused hardware to go up. So I find that very interesting as well.
No, but
Well,
wait a minute. So in the cases where prices are going down, is it the result of efficiency and productivity? Is it the result of they've got a capacity and they just need to produce it? What's driving the cases where prices are going down?
Well, the diversification of solutions in the market as far as software goes. So that's why it's directly split. Like as I mentioned earlier, like with hardware, you have the issue of TSMC. You have the cryptocurrency boom, which essentially even before COVID was tightening the supply chain because now you have all these people buying up all the computer chips to mine Bitcoin and stuff. And you have a plethora of other things. But then and on the flip side of that, you have big tech kind of struggling to keep a monopoly essentially on certain market shares because of all like the security breaches that's been happening recently, Microsoft especially, and so then that allowed for smaller businesses, more like innovators, to come in and then implement newer provisions in that, and then that of course would decrease the price because there's not as much licensing fees, not as much not as much reselling going on. So
Okay, interesting. I'm glad to see that prices are going down at least somewhere. There's hope then.
it's the free market. I mean, if the free market lives, there will be a solution. It's whenever there's a monopoly, it'll you know. So
Rhoda, do you have a comment or question?
I do. I'm interested in the fact that in Mike's discussion and Jerry's discussion and yours, no one has mentioned the employee issue of the difficulty of retaining employees that's happened. Isn't that playing into the business acquisition and the business. If I'm going to start a franchise and I can't get people to work the counter or to work with me, how am I going to succeed with my new franchise?
Jerry,
Yeah,
you
of
want
course.
to take that on?
Well, it's kind of funny. I do get candidates that come through that express that as a concern. But I actually point them back to the other franchisees because I'm like, every single franchisee is going through the same thing you're going through, and they are still doing very, very well, right? A lot of the franchises, I mean, every franchise has had some struggles along the lines. Some of them had to close for a while in some states. Some of them had to close for a while, all told, whatever. But most of the ones that I work with ended up at the end of 2020, ended up about even with 2019 or beating 2019 still, you know. So I usually refer them to talk to the franchise and the existing franchisees about how they work with the employment issue. I actually had coffee with one of the with a franchise that I had put them together with, and they were having some struggles hiring people, but they had enough people that they honestly, it wasn't getting started that they had a struggle with. It was growing at the pace that they could grow. So they hit profitability within their first 12 months. They were doing well. They could grow bigger, faster if they were able to get, the employees in. But like I said, I always point them back to the other franchisees. I'm like, you need to talk to them and figure out and see what they're doing, because they have the same darn struggle that you have. That shouldn't be a reason you don't go into business.
And I'm going to make a comment, and then I'll let anybody else comment on my comment or Rhoda's original question. But, thinking about my background, where I was a small business owner myself at one point, and I also ran factories for large corporations, and I mean sometimes we had 800 people. People will sometimes say, well, if you need employees, just raise the wages and you'll find employees. And yeah, I mean that's true. That's classic economics, right? But it goes back to kind of what Mike was saying. On the one hand, all the places I worked at, we always felt that it was really, really hard to pass on price increases to our customers, right? And if you're going to increase your wages, you need to pass on your price increases if you're going to keep your margin. Otherwise, eventually, you become cash flow negative and run out of business. I mean, so and then the other one is, when you increase prices, kind of what MJ was saying, you're subject to competition from every corner of the world. Sometimes the competition is they just don't buy your product. They do without. They somehow manage to just continue running their business without your product. So it's not as easy as just raise wages and you'll find people that want to work. And the other thing that people forget is that if I raise the wages for the people coming in, I have to raise the wages for people that are already on board. Otherwise, I'm going to create a morale issue, number one. And number two, then also the people further up the food chain, whether it's first line supervisors, managers, whatever, you have to start raising those wages, because otherwise you're going to get salary compression. And I've had situations where somebody refused a promotion. They said, Sal, the headaches of being a first line supervisor are not compensated by the extra whatever you're going to give me. I'd just rather stay here doing my own thing and have less headaches. I mean, people look at those things. I've had people reject promotions because the salary gap in their mind didn't justify the headache. So anyway, sorry for the long, but I hope that also brings a little bit of light to the.
I'll tell you another thing too, everybody, is that people got used to being at home and working at home, staying at home, and a lot of them are willing to take less money to have that privilege. And, that's the problem with the truckers right now. You talk about the supply chain, and they're offering $8,000 for a trucker, just a sign-on bonus, and then a $4,000 referral fee if they can bring on other truckers. And, that's why our deal, I think, has become such a, a lot of people throw us in the MLM bucket and everything. And I don't know how many of you have had experience with network marketing before. And this is a little bit of a different twist. And again, we're not distributors, but it's become a real good solution for those that want to work from home. And so, I find these little seeds of discontent with people and throw what we do, out there into the mix. And we're getting a lot of people's attention because it works real well around a busy lifestyle. But people like the fact that they can work from home, and, family time is becoming a lot more important than they.
Oh, I think we lost Jack there. Jack, are you okay? Says offline. Okay, guys. Well, by the way, it's 2:49. We're just about to roll over to 2:50 here, and I want to keep my commitment to let you go on to your next meeting and take a break for 5 or 10 minutes to grab a glass of water or email or text messages, whatever. So one last comment before we log off, or one last question before we log off. Last chance.
Can I?
Jennifer, go for it.
2 seconds. Delilah, would it help you to have more industry contacts or not? Or is that not something you're working with?
I don't know what happened there. Everything kind of froze. I don't even know if you guys heard me.
We heard almost all of it, Jack, but if you want to finish.
No, I'm done. I just said that's my story and I'm sticking to it. But again, no, thanks for listening. And I appreciate all of your, comments and contributions today as well.
All right, Delilah, you get the last word.
Party on and be excellent to each other. Okay, yeah. Well, Jennifer, yes, I love all referrals.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a call then. I didn't want to waste your time.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, well, guys, well, thank you all for being so punctual. It's 2:50. I'm going to shut it down for today. We're going to do it in exactly 2 weeks, and that's it. Hopefully, I can see all of you in exactly 2 weeks.
You got it. Thanks,
So
Sal.
thank
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
Mr. Sal. I'll call you to see it for us to talk. Mr. Jack, I would also like to speak with you about the franchise. Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.